At 2:13 a.m., the tunnels inhale. You can't hear it unless you've been out here long enough to learn what the city sounds like when it remembers it's a body. But I hear it. The low pull of breath from the shuttered mouths under downtown. The way the grates and concrete teeth tighten before they open. I'm standing there with my broom upright and a circle of swept grit around my boots like a drawn line. And something that isn't wind is trying to count with me. Coins spin at the edge of my circle, rolling in neat, hypnotic rings, glittering with the kind of shine you only see when a thing wants to be picked up. The voice behind me says my name the way my mother says it, when she wants me to turn and see the gift she made with her hands. The ground exhales, wet heat, sugar burned, the ship channel's throat. If I turn, it keeps me. So I count 1, 3, 5, 7, and pretend I don't know which rule I forgot. 2 hours earlier, the city was holding its breath waiting for rain. You could feel it in your ankles walking Allen Parkway, in the backs of your knees, in your teeth. Neon was a smear. Bus glass wore the oil fingerprints of 1,000 hands, and the bayou lay low and flat like a story the land was too tired to tell. The radio on my hip crackled with Derek's voice. Louisiana and Prairie are leaf-locked. You're closest. Push toward the drains if you can. Copy, I said. That's my job. Move what people shed from where it lands to where it can't be seen. The jaru fits my hand. The bristles know the concrete. It's simple until you learn it isn't. I didn't get taught most of my rules by the city. I got them from a man named Alvarez who laughed like heat and chewed his coffee. He trained me when I came on nights, 2 years back, made me walk the grid by foot with no broom, made me point out every drain, every bus shelter, every alley that breathes when it rains. He taught me which corners catch wind and which ones throw it. He taught me to listen. He taught me the rules. After 2:13 a.m., don't sweep the mouths of the tunnels, not even once, not even if a leaf looks like a hand. If a coin sits pretty on a manhole cover, don't pick it up. Coins do not sit, they are set. If someone says your name behind you, soft and close, don't turn. Your name belongs to the day. At night, you are hands and a handle. Never lay the handle flat on the ground. Bristles can rest. Handles build bridges. You don't want what crosses. Count strokes in odd numbers. 1, 3, 5. Evens make doors. Odds make bumps. If anyone asks how many children you have after midnight, say only 2, even if you have none, even if you have 6, especially if you have 6. When the ground starts breathing after rain, don't talk. The ground listens when it breathes. Don't hand your broom to anyone. The jaru holds your shape, and your shape holds it. Swap shapes, and you might not fit back in. There are others. Don't whistle in the Hyatt alley. Don't stack dust at City Hall's statue. Don't chew gum past wall. People choke there. But those 8, those are bones. By the time I turned down Louisiana, the streetlight cast a little circle that blinked and steadied, and in the water pooled under it, my reflection stared back. I try not to look at reflections after midnight. They are honest in a way that isn't for humans. But I was tired, and the puddle was right there, and my eyes found themselves. In the water, I had my broom slung loose the way I always do, boots wide, hat low. Only my broom wasn't touching anything. The bristles hovered over the puddle's skin, just off, like they were shy. The man in the puddle was sweeping air. That's when a nickel clinked my boot and fell in a little coin spin, flashing like it wanted to be a story. It came to rest heads up, face bright, as if it had been polished by someone's prayer. I have a jar on my counter with other people's quarters and nickels. It has paid for new shoes and a heater and a school trip for a cousin. Money is money, except when it isn't. I know the rule. Coins on mouths belong to mouths, but the night does something to your judgment. I stooped. I picked it up. The air turned sweet, not bakery sweet, burnt sugar sweet, the ship channel's regret. It slid down the back of my throat, and something like a hand pressed lightly against my left ear. "Keep the handle upright," a voice said, English braided with Spanish, like two ropes twisted. I straightened, jammed the end of my broom to the concrete, pulled the bristles away from the puddle. A line of little prints marched toward me from the bus pad. 5 at a time, backward, heel first, toes trailing like someone dragging fingers through flour. They stopped an inch from my boot and waited, patient, like a patient thing will wait to see if it's invited in. The bus shelter on that corner is a glass box with a schedule that lies after midnight. Next bus. No service, it said, and the letters held still like guilt. She stood under it like she'd been standing there since the city was young. Wet hair. Clothes that dripped but made no puddle. Face blurred by water and then sharpened, the way faces do when fog thins and remembers it's just air. "Brother," she said, and it tugged something in me. Not sir, not mister. Brother. "How many children do you have?" I didn't turn. I kept my shoulders pointed away from her and toward the puddle where my not-self was sweeping nothing. The answer is always the same. "Only 2, I said. The smile she gave me came with a low hum, a ship horn and fog. "We had rules too," she said. "People broke them. Now we keep names clean." She lifted a finger and wrote in the dust on the shelter bench with deliberate strokes. Alvarez. Then, slow as a nail being hammered into wood, my own. A line of moisture chased the letters like ink blooming through paper. I swallowed. The burnt sugar taste thickened. Alvarez trained me to keep my head on straight when it gets weird. A year ago, during a week of storms, he retired. Paperwork said so. The men at the yard said they'd get him a cake if he ever came back. He didn't. "Give me the broom," she said. "Just a minute." The handle warmed under my palms, as if someone else's hands had been there a second before mine. I locked my grip. "No," I said. "It keeps me. It's my work." She stepped out of the shelter, moving not like a person, but like a thought. Under her, water gathered itself into rings and then forgot to ripple. "Alan," she said, not to me, and turned toward the bayou. The bayou at night is a flat tongue cutting the city, a dark saying that refuses to be translated. Some nights it's a mirror, some nights it's a throat. Tonight it was a promise. They were waiting near the steps, 3 shapes in the fog, brooms in their hands like thermometers pressed to a sleeping child's forehead. They didn't set the bristles down. They held them a hair above the water. When they swept, the air shifted like someone had opened a door in a room without windows. The water answered. Names rose and unmade themselves. Letters, then no letters. First names with grease under their nails. Last names carried in wallets. Names of people who keep a spare key under the mat, and names of people who clip supermarket coupons into neat stacks. Names of people who stood too long looking at water and forgot it looks back. The names dissolved like breath on cold glass. "We clean what the day can't see," she said. "We unedge them. It's kinder." "I don't clean that," I said. My voice sounded thin. "Not names." "You don't have to," she said, and there was pity in it. "But you should know how it's done." "I have rules," I said, because rules were a good stick to hold. She considered me with eyes that felt old. "Do you know the story of 213? "Alvarez never told me a story," I said. "He gave me a time. After the last train of thought leaves the tunnels, the breath in them has space to be more than breath," she said. You don't sweep mouths after 213. I know, and if you do, the city hears you. It wants to know what uses its voice. I took a step back and scraped a circle into the grit on the boardwalk, the broom's bristles making little purrs I love like a secret language. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I stepped inside and breathed. The circle held like a fence with loose boards. That will keep, she said. Till morning. Morning keeps nothing, I said. Morning keeps secrets, she said. Different ones. Derek's voice buzzed in my pocket. Storm's jumping the map. Expect a lot of curb floaters. If you're at Allen, don't get on the steps by the East Walk. Kids like to come out and test gravity. Copy, I said, and we both pretended the warning was about kids. By the time I got back to Louisiana, the light over the tunnel mouth wore a halo of moisture so thick it looked like sea foam. It wasn't 213 yet, but time moved strange at the edges. Water piled at the drain in a neat line of brown and yellow leaves like soldiers in a sad parade. I could clear it with 2 strokes, maybe 3. I checked my watch. 2:09. I can do a lot before a line crosses me. I swept once, hard. The bristles purred. The drain burped, satisfied. One was safe. Even is a door. My right hand twitched to make a second pass. I lifted the bro, instead, and stepped back like a man stepping away from a precipice, because he's seen the view already, and it isn't for him. 1, I said to the stroke I hadn't made, and set 2 cones by the mouth. I took a long photograph with my eyes, so I could tell Derek I'd done what could be done, and say it like a truth, because it would be. They pressed me more after that. The city tests, that's its nature. At Travis, a penny balanced on the edge of a storm grate, copper bright as a fresh wound. At Milam, 2 quarters overlapped like scales. At Smith, a dime weighted tail up like a message. I walked by all of them, my pocket full of nothing heavier than my rules. I heard my name twice, once close, once far. Once my mother's mouth, once my daughter's. I did not turn. I count in odd numbers when the ground breathes. I talked to no one then. The water main broke by the steps near the East Walk a week later. Water, pale and clean and loud, sheeted down the concrete like a stage trick. People came because people always come when something breaks. We need the walkway open, Derek said on the radio. Gonna be slip and slide idiots. He isn't wrong. A pack of teenagers in expensive shoes had invented a new sport and were 2 minutes from a concussion they'd laugh off in a video later. I herded them with the voice you use for friendly dogs. Hey, those Nikes look expensive. You want them to stay that way, right? And it worked because rules are different for kids, but not that different. She was there, hand on the shelter glass like she was checking her own temperature. There were more with her now, the 3 I'd seen, and a smudge of others not yet taking shape, like names not yet written. Busy, she said. People don't know how to stand, I said. They never did. She stepped close enough that the damp old cotton cold of her came through my shirt. Will you give me the broom? No, I said, though there were soft things in her voice that make softer men hand over keys. Just for a second, she tried. You can hold the bristles. I will keep the handle. Children, I said because I needed to remember. Only 2. She laughed, and the water shook. Someone's little boy trotted down 2 steps too far and skidded. His mother shrieked. I pivoted, but he was too far down the slick concrete to grab, and there's a kind of fall you can't run fast enough to stop. Give me the handle, she said, and there was no triumph in it, just urgency. I can sweep him back. Every rule I'd ever kept barked in my ear. Never hand your broom to anyone. Never lay the handle down. Never build bridges at night. The boy hit the second to last step and went sliding toward the slick where water and bayou agreed on down. I made a choice I knew I would pay for. I flipped the broom in my hands, thrust the bristles toward her, kept my grip on the handle, but let her meet me halfway. Her fingers closed around the wood like water takes a hull. Cold ran up my arms into my chest. For a second, the world stuttered. She swept, not the concrete, not the water on it, but the shape of the boy's slide. The line his fall drew through the air you can't see. The line curled like a comma instead of a period. He spun. He hit the third step, up instead of the last. His mother grabbed his shirt. The world resumed. The handle burned cold where my palms touched. She let go first. I didn't let go at all. "You broke a rule," she said, not scolding. "We had rules too. I broke it right," I muttered, breath stuttering a little. "I'd built a bridge. Bridges carry both ways." She tilted her head, wet hair dripping, but never landing. "Tell yourself that if it keeps you upright, the city has a tax." "What tax?" She looked at the water. It wrote a word with a thin, wet finger, Alvarez, then wrote beneath it, in a smaller, shaking hand, "I will not forget." The letters thinned as if the pen ran dry. The surface smoothed. The words were gone. "He keeps writing it," she said. "We keep washing it. It is gentle work. It isn't gentle for him. It's gentler than the alternative." The bats came out under Wah like spilled pepper. People clapped because they always clap when nature hits its mark. I stood inside my circle and swept nothing, and felt the cold flame in the bones of my hand where her grip had ridden up the handle. I went home when the sky turned gray, and slept like a man who'd broken a rule with his whole body. When I woke in the afternoon heat, there was a photo texted to the cheap phone I keep. No sender I knew. A picture of my own apartment door, the chalk smudges on the step where I sometimes write a name and rub it away and write it again. Under the photo, 213. When I got back to work that night, Derek was jitter on the radio. "We got a power hiccup downtown. Tunnels are black. Stay off them. I know you know, but I'm saying it to say I said it." "Copy," I said. The storm had been a rumor all day. You could smell it in the parking lots. Hot tar, diesel, a clean ear of corn somewhere. I swept the leaf lines and watched the light bleed off the glass into a darker darkness. At 2:02 a.m., the coin rolled. Not placed this time. Not set. Rolled out of the tunnel mouth like a tongue. It spun and clinked and came to rest against my boot, and the face on it was worn until the nose was a smudge and the letters were soft. It was a nickel that had known too many pockets, and it was wrong. It hummed like a struck glass. I didn't pick it up. I knew better now. 2:05. Someone behind me said my name the way Sana used to say it when she woke up too early and wanted a story. I did not turn. I said only two to the air and counted 3 empty sweeps, the broom purring over nothing. The ground under my boots lifted a fraction, settled, lifted again. Breathing, I closed my mouth. I closed my thoughts. 2:12. The tunnel's breath. Shh, arpened. The cones I'd set there the week before had memory. They leaned into the air, the way trees lean when they feel weather. The nickel rolled back a quarter turn on its own, like an eye looking. 2:13. The city inhaled. Coins rolled from the darkness, a scatter, nickels and dimes and quarters, a little river. They circled my circle and whirled like planets. For a second, stupidly, beautifully, I was a god of small money. Then the voices came. My mother, my daughter, Alvarez, Derek too, which was unfair. They braided into a rope of syllables and tugged at my name where it lay inside my chest like a sleeping animal. "Turn," they said. "Just your head. Just a glance." The tunnel exhaled a cold breath that wasn't wind, that had weight and edges. Coins kissed the edge of my circle, tink, 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 asking politely. The burned sugar taste flooded my mouth. I held the handle upright. I counted 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Even numbers make a door, I said aloud, for my benefit, for the grounds. I'm not opening. The city doesn't argue. It offers. Out of the corner of my eye, the puddle reflection showed me a man standing with his broom bristles hovering a hair above the street. He looked like me. He looked not like me. His shoulders sagged where mine were square. He had the kind of tired, you can't sleep away. It turned its head, the reflection. It turned to face me, though I had not turned to face it. I gritted my teeth and kept my eyes forward on the cones, on the drain, on the slick lip of the tunnel. The coins spun faster and one by one fell flat, face up, face down, face up, face down. A metronome, a counting I did not consent to, that still counted me. You brought me your handle, she said from the edge of the dark. I could see her now only after she chose to be seen. I could take it. You broke your own rule for a child. I kept him, I said. You kept him then, she agreed. You won't keep him always. None of us keep anything always. That's our rule. What do you want? I asked, because sometimes you ask the thing you already know just to make it hold a shape. The city hates an unpaid debt, she said. It will have